everyone. Last time we talked about the framework of an academic paper, the IMRD structure and its variations. We also talked about how to write an introduction. Now today, we're going to study the other parts of the main body, namely method, results, and discussion sections. Now let's come to the methods section. First, think about this question. What do you expect to know in this part?
I want to know how to choose the topic of the experiment and how to use materials in the experiment.
And also, I think the procedure of the experiment and the criteria for choosing the subject should be included.
Yes.
I expect to know survey carried out in the experiment and statistical analysis.
Yes, very good. Yeah. So in this part, we expect to get a clear picture of the experiment. And the following questions should be answered in this part. For example, how were the topics chosen? What tools were used? When and in what condition was the experiment conducted? How did you design your study, and what steps did you follow when the data were collected? What criteria were used for selecting subjects? How was the questionnaire designed and administered? How were the samples or respondents chosen? How was the interview conducted? How were the statistics analyzed? When all the questions are answered, we can better understand the methods section. Now let's look at an example of the methods section and try to figure out the features of this part. Can anybody tell us the features of the methods section?
All the steps are presented in this part, and it's a straightforward report with procedures and materials. And no problem, no matter of discussion, and no questionnaire are mentioned in this part.
Yes, very good. So from the example, we can understand all the steps presented in this part, and we also can learn that this part is a straightforward report of procedures and materials. And in this part, there shouldn't be any discussion, problems, or statements of a rationale. In a word, this part is just an objective presentation of the methods and procedures of the experiment. Now let's move on to the next part. That's the results section. And also we can ask ourselves this question: what do you want to know in this section?
We want to know the statistical results and the findings in the experiment.
Yes, it's very good. So from the name, the title of this part, you can see that the results and the findings should be stated in this part. Now there's another example. It's about the results section. Look at the example and try to think about the features of language and content in this part. Have you noticed any features of this part in language or content?
I think there are three features. The first is it's stated in a concise and well-organized manner, and it's not so long. And
Yes.
finally, there's no repetition of details in the method section.
Yes, very good. Yeah. So all the results and the findings in the experiments should be stated in a concise and well-organized manner. It shouldn't be too long. And there's another feature. There isn't any repetition of details mentioned in the methods section. Okay. Now look at the example of the results section. What are the elements included in this part?
From my perspective, there are three: the findings of the experiment, the data collected, and the analysis of the data.
Yes. So usually there should be an overview of the experiment or a summary of the findings. And also there should be detailed presentation of the representative data, graphic aids, or their analysis. Along with these two mentioned elements, there's still another one, that's the detailed presentation of the findings. Since just now we have talked about the features and the elements in this part, but how to present the findings? Can you think of any ways to present the findings?
I think firstly is stating the facts, and secondly comparing and constructing.
And analyzing cause and effect.
Yes, good.
Last, illustrating with graphic aids should matter.
Yes. So we can state the facts, and we can also use a comparison and a contrast. We can also analyze the cause and effects. The pictures are also very important. We can use graphic aids to illustrate the findings. So after the introduction, methods section, and results section, what's the next part we're going to learn?
Discussion.
That's good. So in next part, we are going to talk about the discussion. Then what shall we do in this part?
We'll restate the methodology, explain the result, I think.
And I think is cite the previous studies and comment on the data.
And admit difficulties in interpretation, and point out discrepancies, and suggest further research.
Okay, very good. Yes, methodology is to be mentioned again, and the methods should be justified. And then we should interpret the results. Anything else? Yes, cite agreements with the previous studies to make comparison, and also make comments on the data, point out discrepancies, and also calls for further research. And there are several steps for making a discussion. First, restate the results and the outcome, be it expected or unexpected. Point out the limitations and the implications. Compare the present findings with the previous ones. Interpret and comment on the results and suggest further work. Okay, now we've finished the introduction to the IMRD structure, and I hope you can fully understood the features of this and make progress in your paper writing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.